Hi everyone, this is Rhonda from Oombawka Design. Today I'm going to show you how to make my basic V-stitch scarf. You will need medium weight yarn and a 5.5mm or I hook. This is a beginner level pattern. To begin, make a slip knot on your hook. And chain 26 stitches. Once you have your 26 chains, we need to count over to the 6th chain from the hook. We don't count the one that's actually wrapped around the hook, we just count the ones beside it. So count over to your 6th chain, and now you can either work under the back loop, which is this one right here, or we can work under the back bar or back bump of the chain, and that's the one I prefer. It makes the bottom row more stretchy. So work 1 double crochet, chain 1 double crochet, all in that same back bar or back bump. And that's your first V-stitch. The skip chains at the beginning, they count as our first double crochet for the row. And then we have our V-stitch. Now you need to count over 3 chains to make your next V-stitch, which is a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And we continue making these V-stitches across the row. Count over 3 chains and make your next V-stitch. And repeat. Count over 3 chains. Make your next V-stitch. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And once you reach the other end and you have 2 chains left, you work 1 double crochet in the last chain. So your row will have your first double crochet made up of the skipped 5 chains, the last double crochet, and 7 V-stitches. Now we need to chain 3 and turn our work. The chain 3 is going to count as your first double crochet for every row that you work for this project. Turn your work, and then we're going to begin working our V-stitches back across. We're going to skip all the stitches in this row except those chain 1 spaces in our V-stitch, and every V-stitch we make is going to be in one of those chain 1 spaces. So in the first chain 1 space, you work your double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And then skip the stitches between the next chain 1 space and the one you just worked. So you skip those 2 double crochets. And you work in the next chain 1 space and you work your double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. You skip the next 2 double crochets again and into the next chain 1 space. In the center of the next V-stitch, you work your next V-stitch. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then at the end of the row, we need to work one final double crochet in the 5th chain. So that's the one right after the last double crochet that you worked there in the row before. And you chain 3 and turn your work, and you'll see that each edge is going to have a double crochet, and then you'll have your 7 V-stitches and your double crochet at the other end. And from now on, you just find that 3rd chain, which is the one right after the last double crochet on that row. And that's where you'll work your double crochet at the end of the row. When you finish your project, to finish off, you chain 1, and you snip your yarn end if you have any left over. And that little chain 1 is going to help lock that yarn in place so your stitches don't come unraveled. And then you weave in your ends. I'm just going to show you quickly how I weave them in, just in case you're not familiar with the process yet. I have a little bit too much yarn, so I need to snip a little bit off to make it more manageable. Need about 8 to 10 inches at the most, depending on how comfortable you are working with your yarn and your needle. I try not to split my stitches when I weave in my yarn ends, because sometimes it'll get snagged in the yarn and it'll cause a problem with how the fabric looks. I weave in between the loops in multiple directions. And then I stretch the fabric out slightly so that I don't lose the stitch pattern itself by sewing in too tightly in a spot, just to make sure it retains its shape. Try to stay within the same color yarn as the yarn you're weaving in. It's less noticeable. The V-stitch is a super easy stitch to crochet. It's very relaxing, and you can have a great project in a matter of hours. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Have a great day.